My state of Wisconsin, is currently going through a reform of juvenile justice, more based on as much changes to the physical construct of the entire state. There were some issues in a juvenile facility located in central Wisconsin, but the legislature, I think, is trying to wrap their arms around what those reforms and changes would be. Antiquated facilities is one of the issues that certainly needed to be addressed. But I want to go back to some of the earlier discussion. I know Mr. Tiffany talked a little bit about it. And it is kind of this transfer that's been happening throughout the nation. We talked about a pipeline of juvenile incarceration and issues related to that. But there really is kind of this operation, this nationwide operation where children are being exploited. And I think, many of us have certainly dealt with the issues or talked about the issues related to human smuggling and trafficking and the drug-related crimes there as well. I wanted to ask Ms. Vaughn, along those lines, as we continue to see kind of that exploitation and then the end result of those children that are incarcerated, it all goes back to these cartels, and we've actually had federal charges that have been levied against some of these individuals coming out of the Milwaukee districts as of late. If we don't stop or hold back the tide of these crimes related to those issues, how do we address kind of the whole juvenile justice system? We cannot forecast or predict the amount of juveniles that are coming into the system right now. And I think that is just as important as anything we can do kind of on the back end as these children are incarcerated.
That's right. And we had started to see some lower numbers in terms of juvenile offenders, but this influx of minors, many of whom do end up becoming involved in gangs or crimes, either to pay off their smuggling debts or the smuggling debts of their parents that they paid to bring them here, or because they are vulnerable and exposed to gangs in the schools or in the neighborhoods. All of that is going to complicate and undermine efforts to improve outcomes for youth. And I have to add, to the extent that one of the most important things for to interrupt this so-called pipeline is to provide job opportunities for youth. And right now we're seeing very, very low employment participation among America's teenagers, especially. And teenagers are one of the groups that are most affected by our country's failure to control illegal immigration. Illegal employment displaces Americans, especially young people, especially people who lack a high school education for whatever reason. It displaces them from job opportunities and depresses their wages. And access to employment is one of the things that could keep our youth and others who are vulnerable out of the justice system altogether because they're gainfully employed. And that's another reason why we want to stem this flow of uncontrolled illegal immigration.
Thank you very much. The one other comment I just wanted to make, because it came up a couple times, is I know there's different titles for them, but school safety officers. And the comment was made that somehow that is adverse or a negative force on schools. And I have found that whenever you talk to a high school principal or a counselor, the relationships that are built and the understanding that's gained by these individual officers being within the schools certainly outweighs any negativity, you might say, that would be, on the back end of this. I always thought that it was probably the best way for law enforcement also to establish kind of a different profile than what a youth may experience if they end up in a situation with direct contact with an officer on the street. So I just wanted to make that comment.